Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How is everyone doing? Thank you so much for tuning in as always. This is Branding for Breweries. It's the podcast and live chat that brings intelligent, very attractive people in from all around the world to talk about great things that are going to benefit your brewery, bring it to life and attract more people towards your brewery brand. And today is no different because I have Ross Stensrud with me from Tapwise. And today we are going to be tapping into, no pun intended, all the great things that you can do as a brewery to retain customers and build a loyal following within your tap room. So without much further ado, everyone, welcome to the stage, Mr. Ross.
Hey, Tim, I hate to disappoint your audience that thought they were going to get someone intelligent and attractive, but here I am.
Dude, on the podcast, they could be listening back. They won't see your glorious face, so you can really.
Okay.
Yeah. It's fine. It's just the live stuff. And you've got a wonderful smile. You're a glorious hat-wearing chap as well, so I thought we should immediately do.
You as well.
Stop it, you tease. Ross, my man, I'm so excited to have you chat with me today and share your wisdom, because building that loyalty in the tap room is something that every brewery has to do right now. Before we get stuck into hints and tips and how people can really capitalize on their tap room experience, could you give everyone a bit of background about yourself and indeed Tapwise and how it all came together, please?
Well, Tapwise was actually birthed out of COVID because I had a business prior to this where we had a really cool product. We made an exercise bike that was like playing a video game, believe it or not. But the problem was we picked the wrong market, right? So we sold into gyms and YMCAs and all of the places that you could not go for 2 years. So we held on as long as we could to that business, but ultimately the banks came calling and had to give it up. So I was spending a lot of time in tap rooms because they had reopened, and I was, doing a lot of soul searching or whatever you want to call it, heavy drinking, whatever you want to call it. I'm actually one of the tap rooms I was spending a lot of time in out here was called Dogleg Brewing Company. And they had, they're a golf themed tap room. They had a simulator and they had a membership program that they were trying to kind of get off the ground. And part of that membership program was you got some beers, and part of it was you got time in the simulator. And the way it worked was a fucking mess. So excuse my French, but what I had to do when I wanted to join it was I had to go sign up on their website. And then I had to go show the bartender my email that I got that said that I had signed up. And then the bartender had to go make a bunch of index cards with the rewards that I was supposed to get. And then she put it in the, in the right alphabetical order with all the other members. And then every time I came in and I wanted to use the simulator or wanted to get a beer, she was supposed to go look up my card and check off the reward and reconcile it later. And it was a hot mess. I ended up getting a lot of free beer out of it because she would never check off my rewards. And I ended up getting a lot of simulator time in the golf simulator. But I was talking to him and I said, I think there's a better way to do this. And that was kind of what happened with Tapwise. What we do is we build loyalty programs and membership programs for breweries, and we deliver those programs to the brewery in the form of a custom branded mobile app for that brewery. So it'll handle everything. Dogleg is one of our customers. It handles everything for them, from the simulator time to the free beers and everything like that. And it's allowed them to basically grow that program without, the painful, gnashing of teeth and processes that were involved previously. And it's been great for them. It's been a big win in terms of bringing people in on the regular and customer loyalty, which I think is what we're getting into today. So.
100%, my man. It's all about creating those loyal customers, and that's what we're going to drill down to over the next 50 minutes. But man, I feel your pain, like just sat here and you describing that whole, got to go to the website, even though I'm in the tap room, I've got to fill it in,
right.
wait for the person behind the bar. Like beyond like archaic printout systems, like what other challenges are you seeing in tap rooms that are, that these breweries are facing when it comes to packing out their tap rooms right now?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think one of the biggest challenges, to be honest with you, is just awareness of what's going on in the tap room at any given time. I mean, I think, how many times have you heard, if you work in a brewery, like something along the lines of, oh, I would have been there, but I didn't know about it. Whether it was a new beer release or whether it was some type of taproom event or something like that, right? And so for the breweries we work with, a lot of times they're smaller, and it's just hard if you're a local brewery to, break through the noise in social media, on, email and through other mechanisms like that. And it's getting harder. It's not getting any easier, right? And so how do you keep people in the know that want to know about it? They've been in your tap room. They had a good time. They want to know when you're coming out with a new beer that they want to try. They want to know when you've got trivia nights going on, or when you've got a great new band playing or something like that, that they want to come out for. But it might not show up in their Instagram feed. It might not show up, in their inbox. They probably aren't going to your website regularly to check your event listings and stuff like that. So in a lot of cases, I think the big challenge is just capturing that mind share after that first visit and letting people know what's going on. And if you can do that, a lot of times they'll show up.
Dude, I completely agree. I was talking about this the other day during a presentation, and there's this crazy stat. People on the average office worker right now in the States, this is, so your neck of the woods, not mine, receives 120 emails a day.
Right.
Right.
It's crazy.
So that's 600 in a working week, nearly 800 in the whole week. And your poor brewery is going to be pumping out maybe one newsletter at best. No one's going to see that, right?
No, yeah, it's impossible. It's so tough.
And then
you're right. That's exactly right. And it's probably going into a promos folder or or something like that. So it's not even getting into the main inbox. So yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough out there. But so I think that's that's one of the problems we try to solve, with push messages through the app, and it's been really helpful for the breweries that we're working with.
Yeah, I suppose, because again, on social media, where you've got messages that would just be lost in the feed, or you might not even get the chance to put that in front of something. At least if you've got the app and you're pushing it to the user, you're going to them, they're not coming to you, right? It's a much more.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's showing up on the home screen of their phone. And so it's a great communication tool. And we've got kind of the stats on the push messages, which I'm happy to share if it's appropriate. But
sure.
Yeah, I mean the push message engagement rates, which means that someone tapped on the message when it came through, or they opened your app after within 2 hours of kind of seeing that message come through because maybe they were driving or whatever. The engagement rate on a push message is on average is 25%, which is insane. I like it. I send a lot of emails. If 25% of people responded to my emails, I would be fucking rich. I'd be on a boat in the Caribbean right now. But I'm not. I'm doing this podcast, which is great too.
So. It's a different kind of life, Rich, right? We get to make friends, we get to have good chats.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
Cool. So there's that difference between a first-time visitor and then a loyal member as well, right? There's that, even if they do know about the brewery and they know the events that are going on, what other ways should breweries be engaging with that customer to make them a lifelong fan, a loyal fan?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think in terms of kind of funnels, right? So you've got your people who may eventually come to your tap room, who maybe saw something on Instagram or has a friend who's been there, right? And they're the kind of top of your funnel. And then you've got the people who have been there. And then you've got the people who have been there, and then you have a way of communicating with them afterwards, which is maybe an email or phone number, or they downloaded your app. And then you've got the people who are your members, and who have said explicitly, I like this enough that I want to come back regularly and pay you for that privilege. And that's kind of the the way that I think about the taproom experience, from what we do. And the goal is to bring people from the top of that funnel down to the bottom of that funnel, right? And keep them coming back regularly. It's interesting. One of the things that we see with the breweries we work with is that, this may be obvious, but your members come back in more often than anyone else, right? Like this is, and a lot of them just want something, an excuse to come back in, whether it's an event, whether it's like part of their membership, a weekly pint or something like that. And it really does, that's, if you can give them an excuse, they will be there.
Yeah, I suppose the excuse thing. So we've got brewery memberships here in the UK. You guys out in the States do things a little bit differently. You guys have got the Mug Club, which I'd love to pick your brains on in a bit as well. But the idea of going, oh yeah, you get a free pint every week, every 2 weeks. No one's coming into that brewery just for a pint, right? You've got them in there, but they're gonna be spending more. Like it's a no-brainer in many ways. Like I say, it's just the hook, and then there's so much more that you can do.
Yeah, you nailed it, Tim. That's exactly right. That's one of the most popular kind of rewards that we see with the breweries we work with, is that first pint of the week. If you can give it away for free, some breweries will do that. Some people in California, for example, where I am, you can't do that. So they do your first pint is $1. So it gets you to open your tab, and then that's just the excuse you need to get to the tap room. And no, you're exactly right. No one comes in for 1 pint. That's true. The other thing that's funny is there's a tap room out here called Pure Project. It's a great tap room. They're like very professional and environmentally friendly. They've, mission driven. They give back 1% to environmental causes. And perfect for the area that we live in. And when they became a customer, I signed up for their brew crew. It's $20 a month, and I get that weekly pint. And it's funny, my wife doesn't even like beer, but she has now, every time I go, she makes me take her. And Pure Project does this thing. They have a smoothie beer that they make, which is basically like fruit infused beer. And my wife has discovered that she really likes that. And so not only am I getting myself a couple pints, I'm also getting her a couple pints too every time I go in for my $1 beer. It's crazy.
But it makes so much sense. Like if it's not your wife or your partner, then you're probably bringing a buddy along, or like someone who's out of town. It's like, I've got to take you to my brewery. This is my place. This is where we hang out. So just creating that environment which opens the door. Like, I get it.
No, you're spot on. One of the other rewards they give away is Member Mondays, 20% off your tab. And so I've walked in like the big dog a couple times with my coworkers, and gotten that 20% off. And I've brought friends too. If I have a friend in town on Member Monday, that's absolutely where we're going for sure. So,
so we here in the UK, we always look to the States for like the trends and what you guys are doing, and we always seem to be a little bit behind the curve. Could you outline beyond like maybe Member Monday, like you talked about, or your first pint for $1? What are the other common like member benefits that you might get from a membership out in the States?
Oh yeah, that's a great question, and I'd actually like to learn a little bit more about what you all are doing in the UK too, if you don't mind.
Of course, man. I'll share.
But I've got a couple really good examples here of things that are working. There's a brewery that's in a ski town called Lake Tahoe Ale Works. They're up in Lake Tahoe, as you might make that leap of faith. But for them, what they had is they're usually packed on the weekends when all the tourists come into town to ski. So what they wanted to offer was a program that would bring the locals in on the off nights. So what they set up, I love this program. And I honestly, I was surprised that it is working as well as it is. I didn't think it was going to, but what they've done is they have a $5 a month loyal locals, program. I promise I haven't had any drinks today yet. It's 9 a.m. over here. yeah, $5 a month. And the way the program works is that all it does is unlock a locals only menu, and it unlocks it on Monday through Thursday. So the days that they aren't busy, you can come in and you can get a $20 burger and cocktail, or you can get a $20 pizza and beer. And they will, and a couple other things like that. And they have, let's see, I've got some numbers here. They launched this program in October of last year. And let's see here, as of January, they had 575 visits in a couple months from members of this program who are not only paying them $5 a month, but then they're coming in and getting that, redeeming that reward for those. So that's a program that I love, that I like to talk about too, because I was surprised it was going to work as well as it did.
Dude, that's big money. So you're saying that, was it 575 was the number? Yeah,
575 visits. And that was, I haven't run the numbers recently, but that was for October through January.
Okay. So when we go into January, we're looking at quieter months as well. So you're taking 575, you're timesing it by $25 at least, because it's the $5 and then the $20.
Yeah,
I don't do math, but that's plenty of money. That's a good amount of money that they wouldn't have had previously, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's bringing the locals in on the off nights, right? So it's I really like the way they structured that program. And they have 165 people who had signed up for this when I last ran the numbers. So on top of the money they're getting from bringing people in and the food and drinks they're serving, that's $10,000 a year in just the $5 a month, which is, I couldn't believe it's worked as well as it has.
As a thank you very much, we'll carry on doing that for a very long time kind of plan, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, you asked about the UK side of things. So
yeah, I'd love to hear kind of the way you guys are doing things.
Yeah. So our brewery, the brewery memberships that I'm familiar with, they're a little bit different. So maybe it's like a yearly annual fee that they'll pay up. So they'll pay like a larger fee for some of the clients that I work with, at least. And then what they'll have is a monthly refill of a growler or crowler. Obviously, you guys got the cans, but more the classic tankard, the big brown bad boy. But again, that's just a fantastic reason. Like if you're going into the brewery or the tap room to get that filled up, it's like, well, I might as well have a few whilst I'm here. Happy days.
100%.
They'll get a certain percentage off each pint that they buy in the tap room. So that might vary from 10% to 20% or whatever they want to do. You then have member-specific nights as well. So some members' nights, I've got a local brewery called Rebellion near to me, and I think it's every second Tuesday they have a members' night where members can come, and between the hours of 7 and 9 p.m. they drink for free. They get that pint glass and it's crack on.
Wow, I'm there every day, every time.
But then you can also bring a friend, and that friend can also drink for, it's like £15 or so, or maybe £20.
Yeah, great.
So again, it's that idea of going, well, if you're drinking for free, but you're going to bring a buddy because you're not going to go alone normally.
Yeah.
And you're going to be making at least, £10 a head if it's the two of you. Or they have full-on members' days. Another client of mine does a members' day between 11 and 5, and it's £15 for drink as much as you can for those 6 hours. And if you're not a member, you can do that for £30. And then it's all those kind of incentives where, like, if you're a member, you've got that extra little special, a little bit more money off, a little bit of detail. But they're not excluding other people as well, because they know the power that the membership will bring other people in alongside them.
Totally.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So those are some of the cooler things. Of course, you've got like merch. People get hats and T-shirts and bits and bobs like that.
Yeah. No, we do annual memberships too. And it's interesting. That's kind of that has been historically the model in the US too. Has been a mug club type of model. You pay once a year, and sometimes you get like a mug or a T-shirt for the year or something like that. And then you come in, you get to use your mug, and you get the big pours, it's 20 ounces versus 16, something like that. And that model still is really popular. Actually, we have more breweries still doing annual memberships than monthly. But what's interesting about it is what we've seen, if you break down the numbers, is that the monthly memberships make more money for the breweries. believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah. And so, so let me see. So again, these numbers that I ran in January, the average annual membership that we sold in the US or through Tapwise was $147.60. So per year, and you get a variety of perks, like you said, temperate discounts on merch. Some of them will do monthly, like that monthly growler. That's a great reward too. That's going to bring people in once a month at least, and to fill that up and open a tab. But on the membership side of things, our average monthly membership is $221.20.
Wow.
So that breaks out to about $20 a month, a little bit less, $18.43. And so there's a difference there over the course of a year between monthly and annual of about $75 that you're getting on top of, extra when you're selling a monthly membership versus an annual. Obviously, there's like value in having the upfront payment too. Right. So that's cash in hand versus it's going to roll out throughout the course of the entire year if you're doing a monthly membership. But the breakdown, I was surprised that there was that big of a difference between average price of monthly over the course of a year and an annual membership, for sure.
Do you think there's a psychological reason for that, where people are like, well, it's a smaller amount, I can definitely manage to swing $20 a month instead of like $200 all up front?
100%. People don't do the math. I guarantee it. They are in there. They're having fun. They're like, hell yeah, I'm going to sign up for this. And then it rolls out throughout the course of the year. Let me see here. I have one brewery. This was funny. There's a brewery called 105 West out in Colorado, and they do a $37 a month membership. And the benefits are great. You get big pours, you get a monthly pint, you get 2 4-packs every month. So it's kind of like, if you're going to get the beer anyways, you might as well buy the membership. But let me do the math on that. I haven't done the math on that, but if you do the math on that, 37 times 12, you're looking at $444 a year as part of that membership. And they've got, it's blown up. They're doing great with that. I was just like, no one does that math. And and I think that's a big reason why the monthlies are, so popular and also so profitable.
Just quick, massive shout out to our guy, Aaron Gore, who is just screaming Roth on the comments right now. He's not providing.
Hi, Aaron, what's up, man? I love it.
But also with the memberships, do you just commit to 12 months, or is it like that damn gym membership where you forget that you've got it and it's just going to keep on rolling forever? So people could accidentally forget that they've got it open and you're still making bank on those poor songs.
Yeah. So I want to be careful here because I used to work in the gym industry, and there's a big difference between the gym industry and the beer industry and breweries. Gyms want you to sign up and then never show up. That's their model, right? So like, that's what they want. And they want to make it hard to cancel. And they want, they just want to ring that charge every month. It's a little different in beer. And this is why I think I like working in beer so much more, is that breweries want to sell you a membership so that you show up more often, right? Yeah. Like they actually want you to come in. They want you to be part of the community. They want you to open up tabs. They want you to bring your friends, things like that. And so I just want to be a little careful there about when I'm talking about the membership model. There is absolutely breakage in terms of people that sign up for a membership and then don't use all their rewards all the time. And that's fine. Like that's okay for the brewery too, because they're getting the monthly charge as well. But just, I wouldn't encourage a brewery to put together a program if it was just like, I want to get people to sign up and then have them never show up. That's not, I don't think that works long-term.
No, I think that's better. I think the better approach is kind of like, you've got to work out what your offer is, like that bundle that you're prepared to give away for the month and for that price. And you're going to be wanting to make a certain amount of profit on top of that.
Absolutely.
If it's more than great. If there's less, well, whoops. Okay, I think that's a massive takeaway. So for any brewery owners who are listening live or listening later on down the line, maybe consider splitting it up into a monthly thing. It could be a real money maker for you guys.
Mm-hmm. You can offer both too. You can let the customer decide.
Exactly, yes. And in many ways, that's probably going to drive them more towards the monthly one than the yearly one, because as you say, people don't do the math. They're like, whoa, $250, don't want to do it.
Yeah.
$40, that's cool. Don't worry about it. Anytime.
Yeah.
Let's take two. So you talked about kind of the memberships and giving away like the free 4-pack or 2 free 4-packs in the example that you've just given. Like, what are the components of a great performing mug club or membership? Like, what if you had to have like brewery membership 101, what are the things that you need to tick off?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a couple of things that we've talked about that really go into the programs that are the most successful. I'm a big fan of monthly pricing versus annual, because we've seen it just tends to be more profitable for the brewery, and more easily digestible for the guests, right? And we've seen, I think you get more signups that way. And so I would encourage, you can offer both of them, but at least offer the monthly is what I generally recommend. The other thing that I like, that we've also talked about that is a key component to any of the successful programs we've seen, is offering those kind of recurring rewards. So a weekly pint, a monthly pickup, anything you can do that's going to become a habit for your customers, to bring them back in. Those are really good things to offer. The other thing is, I generally recommend too that you offer multiple tiers of memberships. So you can have, you can have a free version. And the free version might just be that people get a periodic flash reward that you're going to send out to everyone anyways, or something like that, like a once a month, when you got to move some stale beer or something like that. And then you can have a version that's I like to see kind of a version for your everyday taproom guest, and then a version for your super fan. And so, something like maybe you just offer your weekly pint as your, everyday taproom guest, but then your super fan gets those 2 4-pack pickups in addition to the weekly pint and everything like that. So I like to recommend, don't get too complicated with it. I've seen breweries that have 10 tiers of programs. That just makes people's head hurt. But I think you can find a sweet spot there where you can appeal to, you can kind of like create that funnel that we were talking about early on with your guests and how enthusiastic they want to be about your brewery, and then nurture them from one tier to the next.
Yeah, I never thought about the free one. That makes so much sense, because even if it's like a loyalty card that you get, and you've got to stamp it 10 times and you get a free pint, and all you need to do is like hand over your email address, then at least you've got the email address, so you're in that communications pattern. And so, as you say, you can try and nurture them towards, level 1, level 2, whatever it might be.
Yeah, but definitely.
As you said, email's not the most, engaging way to keep everyone on track. But this leads me really nicely to enhancing the membership with tech. Like, generations are more tech savvy. Everyone wants everything in the palm of their hand. So, like, what have you seen in terms of the differences of like old school paper sign up memberships versus like driving them towards a tech driven membership?
Obviously we have our solution. First off, I don't want to discount the email. Like, don't throw it out. An email's better than nothing.
Dude, it's got to be part of the suite of comms, right? Yeah. Don't stop it. Just do more. It would be my
but obviously our solution is the next step of what I think is kind of direct guest communication, which is through push messages that are branded for your brewery that are going to your guests. We've seen that work really well in terms of tech. I think that one of the things that came out of the pandemic, for better or worse, is everyone knows how to scan a QR code now. So it's just as easy to scan a QR code and get an app as it is to give someone your email address. And so that adoption has been really, that's been good for us in, a weird way. The other thing I would say is that just in terms of tech trends, this is, it was interesting. I was watching, I don't care for American football. I hope no one is listening,
Don't tell the American.
American hears that, but I did watch the Super Bowl with a bunch of my buddies. And, I in the commercials, you watch these commercials, and what is every commercial asking the person to do? They're asking you to download their app, whether it's McDonald's or Uber Eats or whatever the heck it is, right? So the people are really kind of getting used to and comfortable with the idea of, if there's a brand that you care about or that's part of your life that you want to engage with, then the app is the way to do it. And so I think that, obviously I'm biased because this is what we do. So I hope I'm not coming off as just, an asshole pitching his products, but I do really believe in it. And I think it's the way that people, like I said, if you have a brand you care about and you want to interact with that brand on a regular basis, then the app is the way to go. And that's kind of what we're seeing.
And does it deliver like a more personalized experience as well? Because we talk about email, it's got to be part of it, but the best thing you can do is like maybe put the subscription name, like the subscriber name. It's like, hey Tim, here's the updates for the week. But with an app, can it get more personal? You get like stuff which is more specified to your preferences and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So breweries can set up the app to capture whatever information they want when someone downloads it. So if you say, you can ask questions like, we have breweries that have multiple tap rooms, so they want to know what's your home tap room, so that they can figure out if they're running a deal or running, if they're having an event, a concert or something at a particular tap room, then they'll just communicate out to their customers who are have that flagged as their home tap room. But you can also capture information like, what's your favorite kind of beer, or like, you name it, you think of it, like, so if it's going to be useful to you, in terms of kind of slicing and dicing the message to your audience, then you can ask for that information when someone signs up, and then personalize your communication that way. And you bring up a good point, which is it's better to send out more targeted, messages. It's if someone has your app, then that they're interested in what you have to say for the most part. But it's even better if you have something that's like, hey, you haven't come in and gotten your monthly growler fill yet. Don't forget before the end of the month. People love that, right? Because it's very personalized, and it's a benefit that they want to receive anyways. So the more personal you can get with the communication, the better. We find the sweet spot in terms of kind of, if you're just sending a message out to all of your app users, is about once a week. That's, people are fine with that. They want to know what's going on. For example, a brewery in South Carolina called Common House, they do music every weekend. So like clockwork, on Thursday, I get their weekend lineup. I don't live in South Carolina. I wish I did, because they usually have some good bands playing. But that kind of stuff is stuff that people like and want to receive.
And we'll touch on event planning in a minute, but I'm really curious. I'm putting the brewery owner head on here going, yeah, like a membership is a great thing. I want to get more people on board. Like, what has been the most successful ways that you've seen of actually getting that sign up, like building the numbers of people taking the app on, or indeed just like signing up?
Yeah, great question. So the best thing to do is to offer a download reward. We call it a download reward. So basically you can set it up so that when someone downloads the app for the first time, they get something. So whether it's if you can give away a free beer, the easiest thing to do, and the one that we've found to be most effective, is just offer a free beer. Keep it simple, right? If you can't, then you can get creative with it. $1 pints, or even just anything you can come up with. We've seen stickers, you name it. Just give them something to download the app, and then that's a great mechanism to drive the downloads. And it can be a good kind of conversation piece between staff and the patron too, right? So like, hey, let me get you that next beer. Just download our app and then show it to me, and I'll go put that on, I'll comp that on your tab, kind of thing.
Nice. So, yeah, because you're not going to do it as soon as they walk through the door, right? Hey, Do you want a free beer?
No, it's after yeah, that's exactly right. Like nothing is gonna, supersede the experience that the customer has and the staff that you have. Like this is just a tool for after that.
Keeping them coming back.
Yeah.
So before we just kind of got sidetracked by that question, you were talking about the events and people putting events on, that really aligning nicely with the notifications going out. Like in your mind, how important is event planning when it comes to complementing like a really good membership?
I mean, I think events are becoming more and more important by the day, in terms of bringing people back in, getting people involved, being part of the community. It used to be, I don't know, like we were talking a little bit about before this about the parallels between the UK and the US in terms of breweries and kind of where everything is. But it used to be in the US that you could open a brewery in a warehouse, somewhere in a business district, and people would just show up because it was novel. And unfortunately, that's not the case anymore. And so events are huge in terms of getting people in the door, foot traffic, and everything like that. Some of the things we've seen working well are run clubs, bike clubs. Obviously, you've got your trivia nights, paint and sips. There can be also members only events. That can be a perk of a membership if you want to do that kind of thing too. And we've seen that work really well. There's a farm brewery in New Jersey called Screamin' Hill, that one of the main perks of their membership, which is $300 a year, is you get an invitation for you and a guest to their big like pig roast out on the farm, their annual event. So it's events are huge, and I don't see that changing. I think they're just going to get more and more important over time, as the industry continues to evolve.
Have you, I'll put you on the spot for this one, but I know that obviously you can see a load of different events that different breweries are putting on. Has anything ever caught your eye where you're like, I have not seen someone do that before? Like that's a wild one.
Oh, I mean, the pig roast on the farm is a pretty unique one, right? Like that's a good one. They also do tractor rides, so there's all sorts of fun stuff if you have a farm that you can do that other breweries may not be able to do. I'll tell you one other event that I was a part of. There's a group in the U.S. called Craft Beer Professionals, or they may be international, but it's kind of they have two conferences a year, and they rotate what city it's in. This last event in December was in San Diego. And so a bunch of people from around the country came to San Diego, and we hosted one night at Pure Project, which is the place that my wife makes me take her, that I like to take her every week. So what we did for that event was, I think that VR is kind of hilarious, like virtual reality, particularly when done in a public space. Because when someone's got those goggles on and everyone can watch what this person is doing, it's just insane. It's ridiculous. And so what we did was we set up Fruit Ninja in the VR goggles. Do you know what Fruit Ninja is, Tim?
Yeah, like where you're slicing and dicing the watermelon and the strawberries.
Yeah, exactly. And Aaron Gore, I don't know if Aaron is still on the call, but he did this with me, so he knows. But we set up Fruit Ninja in the goggles, and we had a big screen so everyone could see what the person was seeing. And it was just a complete spectacle for the night. It was a lot of fun. And then at the end of the night, we gave away the VR headset to the person with the top score. So that was a pretty fun one.
Health and safety nightmare, like someone swinging their limbs around, like how many glasses are going to get caught and stuff like that.
Yeah, we had to section off a good part of the bar, no doubt. Another one that I've heard that's trending right now in the US, and I don't know if this is the same in the UK, but it's emo nights. Emo karaoke.
Emo karaoke night. See a bit of My Chemical Romance blasting out.
Absolutely, yeah, no doubt. So some Fall Out Boy, you name it.
Dude, I'd be down for that. That's my generation. I really don't have the fringe. I have no hair now, but I still rock the songs.
Yeah.
Dude, okay, so I reckon we've got a load of that. I know there's loads of indie brewers here who maybe have a team of 2 or 3 strong, and they know that they've got to put on events and stuff, but they're looking at the big guys with the big budgets who can do all this great stuff, and we can't compete with that. Like, from
Yeah.
what you've seen and what you've got going on, like, what would you say the smaller breweries can do to at least get on the bandwagon and maybe even try and compete at some point with the bigger ones?
Tim, I love this question because it kind of gets to the heart of what we do. I want to, before I get into like the tech side of things, I want to go back to, what's the experience like at your brewery, and what's your staff like? Like, nothing is more important than that, right? Like, that's the most important thing. After that, like I said, you watch these commercials in the Super Bowl, and what is every company that is spending money on Super Bowl ads or has that big budget, like, what are they telling you to do? They're telling you to download their app. And that's fine for a Fortune 500 company. And the reason they're doing that is because they know that it works. It's the best mechanism, or a great mechanism, to kind of stay connected with their customers. And our mission at Tapwise is really to make this idea and concept affordable to the local brewery. The people, the places that have, like you said, it's a mom and pop and a daughter that are running the tap room or something like that. And we do that. We work with a lot of small players, and I like working with the tap rooms that are really community specific, because that's what I think, that's part of our mission, and part of our core is to make that technology and that experience available and effective for the local business. So yeah, I mean, it's core to our mission, is to do exactly that.
Dude, I like it. That's cool. And it's very close to my heart as well. Like, I think it's unfair that some of the breweries, only the big breweries, get to, afford the big bucks and the big features. Like, no, everyone needs this kind of help. So
yeah, absolutely. And it's not just the big breweries. You're competing with the attention of everything, right?
Yeah.
Like, so but we want to make it so that you can break through the noise as a small local place.
So we talked about like a lot of the cool things that breweries do and what breweries could do and embrace, but what about the dark side? Like, what are the things that, like, the mistakes that breweries can do when setting up memberships or trying to attract loyalty?
Yeah, good question. I'll tell you, it's funny because we have programs that span from like that $5 a month program that I talked to you about earlier with Lake Tahoe Ale Works, up to $1,250. And both of those programs are actually doing really well on kind of the far end of the spectrum, right? But there are some mistakes that you can make. And I think one of the big mistakes is that the program has to be compelling. We had a brewery that did a month-long scavenger hunt, where you had to come in for a month and, find a thing that it was like the elf on the shelf kind of thing. You had to find the elf in the brewery. And then at the end of the month, you got $3 off a pint. And guess what? People did not do that, because that's a lot of work for a tiny little reward. And so, so you just need to be kind of just use some common sense when you're setting up your program, and make sure that it's something that isn't, kind of disproportional, the effort to reward ratio, I would say.
It's got to be worth it, right? It comes back to saying, like, incentivizing people to join the membership to begin with. They got to feel like they're getting something, like they win in the conversation versus them losing out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if you're going to know your customers better than us, right? And so when we work with breweries, we like to kind of, we'll recommend things that we've seen in terms of best practices, but ultimately it's your brewery and your business, and you're going to know what works better, is going to work best for your customers. Just don't do a month-long scavenger hunt for $3 off a pint.
I think that's fair. Stretch it out over a year and give them a case or something, right?
There you go.
Okay, so rub your crystal ball for me, Ross. You're looking at the data, you're looking at the trends and the stuff coming into the app right now. Like, what do you see for the rest of 2025? What exciting things have we got to look forward to in the brewing world?
Like trends for what's going on this coming year. Yeah, that's a tough question. I hate to make claims here, but I think I got a couple things for you. They're probably not, world breakers or anything like that, but we talked about events, and I think that's going to continue to be critical just moving forward in general for a lot of the breweries that we work with. One of the things we've seen, and this has been going on for a while, but I don't think it's going to change, is that distribution, particularly in the US, is extremely challenging. And that's not going to get any easier with, aluminum costs or anything like that going up, and just costs going up in general. So what I think is going to happen is the breweries that are doing that are going to, lean back in and kind of reimagine what their taproom experience is like, with a focus on service, events, and, customer loyalty. And the other thing I just think is really important that we're seeing in terms of kind of messaging and trending in the industry is the ability to own that relationship directly with your customer. Not have to rely on channels that may or may not filter out what you're trying to say to your guests who have opted in and told you that they want to know what's going on, right? So being able to own that communication channel directly, I think is going to become increasingly important over time in the coming year.
I can completely see that. Like, if I think about it as me, as what do I want from my local brewery or tap room? Like, I want a place where I'm like, oh, there's that cool thing going on. I want to go and check that out. And oh yeah, they know me. They remember that I just bought this, or they haven't seen me for a bit. And you've got that relationship. Like, you've got to win in your home ground before you can even look to go beyond, because that you've got to have that stable backbone, I suppose, that's going to carry you throughout anything else that you're trying out, right?
Yeah. And I don't want to get into what kind of beverages are going to be trending. That's just beyond my pay grade. So
we'll just see. We'll see what happens, right? I might invite a load of people back at the end of year and go, did you expect that to happen?
Yeah. No, I hope you're not keeping tabs on what I just said.
I think we just recorded it forever and putting it on the podcast.
Yeah, right.
Don't worry about it. Ross, this has been awesome, man. Let's bring this to a wrap. But as we close this out, if you could, you're trapped in a lift with a brewery owner, and you can impart one piece of knowledge on them to take away, implement, and execute based on everything that you've now learned and gathered from Tapwise, what's that final takeaway that you would leave them with?
Well, first of all, I would never tell a brewery owner what to do. They know better than me what's going to work for their business. But I guess what I would say is this is kind of a recurring theme is, making sure you've got that focus on your staff and your experience dialed in first. And then as a secondary thing, get an app. Get an app and get a membership program. So get it going if you don't have one already. So
Ross, where can people find you, talk to you, see your beautiful face, admire your wonderful smile, and learn about Tapwise as well, man?
Well, there's no way to see my beautiful face because that's not a thing. But you can reach me directly by email. It's ross@tapwise.com, tapwise.com. You can visit tapwise.com. And I'm always happy to talk to anyone who reaches out about this stuff. I love it. It's been great, and excited to keep the conversation going.
Fantastic, Ross. Again, my man, thank you so much for your time. This has been great. Even those little tidbits about, the monthly membership versus the yearly one, I was shocked with that finance, difference. Yeah. That's mega. Everyone else, I hope you've had a wicked 49-ish minutes with us, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I've been Tim with The Brand Weaver. This has been Branding for Breweries. You're rock.